Time now for Inside Out, presented by your local Honda dealer with our NBA insider Ian Begley. And Ian, you set up some potential Knicks, potential free agency pursuits in your latest column on SNY.TV. The KP era at the Garden was certainly a whirlwind, so how likely are the chances that they run it back?
Not very, Eamon, because when you look at Kristaps Porzingis, first of all, Washington just hired a new president of basketball operations, Michael Winger. So you want to know how he feels about Porzingis before you get into where he could go. And then Porzingis has a player option, right? So if he declines that, he's declining it knowing that he's got a long-term deal from another team or from Washington. From a Knicks perspective, you would have to give up assets to get Porzingis in a sign-and trade from Washington. They're not losing him for nothing. And so you're talking about Porzingis, a player who has had injury issues in the past, and a Knicks roster coming off a 47-win season. I just don't see that as the move that Leon Rose and his group make, their big move this offseason.
From a player who was once a Knick to a player who seems to always be linked to the Knicks. I mean, Ian, Chris Paul to the Knick rumors have been around since the dinosaurs roamed the earth. But how would you gauge New York's interest now in the future Hall of Famer?
Well, when you talk about Paul, you talk about really any free agent the Knicks could add. It's about roster spots and rotation spots. Right now, they have players locked up here through next season in their rotation. They can't offer a free agent a rotation spot at the moment. So Chris Paul or anybody else, it's really dependent on the Knicks freeing up roster spots, rotation spots via trade. But let's say there's an opening there at the backup point guard position. I'm sure Tom Thibodeau would love to have Chris Paul in New York. Knicks thought they had a shot at Paul when he was being moved from Oklahoma City. Paul ultimately decided to go to Phoenix because he wanted to be close to home. Reportedly, one of the reasons he didn't decide to come to New York was because he wasn't excited about playing in an empty Garden during that COVID season. But now the Garden's full. The Knicks have a team that's seemingly on the rise. Maybe that appeals to Chris Paul as he enters what appears to be another free agency.
All right, Ian, what's one name we should keep an eye on this offseason?
Yeah, Seth Curry, I mean, he's a shooter, right? And I think the Knicks go into this offseason believing that they need to add shooting. Curry has done that his whole career. He's a player who could maybe fit into that $12 million exception that the Knicks are expected to have. He was across the river last year. I think he liked the area. So you put all that together, and I would think that there's some reason to think there's some link between the Knicks and Curry here as they look for shooting, to add shooting on this roster.
No doubt the Knicks could use a consistent shooter from deep. The Putback with Ian Begley returns Thursday at 2 p.m. on SNY's digital platforms as the Knicks gear up for the draft and free agency. Ian, thanks for joining us here on Honda Sports Night.